Hamilton. Oh, great.
That's
Awesome. Now we've got it for posterity.
Yeah.
I have been executive director of Beacon of Hope since we were started in 2011. We are almost 10 years old. For those of you that have been spending the last year and a half in COVID, like the rest of us, Beacon of Hope is an incredible resource. So I'm very excited that as your students move into their sophomore, junior, and senior year, that Beacon of Hope will be available through the Future Centers for you to take advantage of. And hopefully things keep going well and we can all be in person, because as we know, things happen much better in person. You'll see Dennis Cohen, who's to my side, and Dennis is our Heritage High School Future Center Director. We also, many of you are familiar with Miss Vanderhoff, our EC Glass Future Center Director. And I'm not sure, Dennis, I'm not sure if you're going to get into this, but Heidi has been with us for the last 9 years, and she is a phenomenal resource, and such a phenomenal resource that UVA just stole her from us. So Heidi is relocating to the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, and we are thrilled that we're going to have her on our team there. You all should be very thrilled too. But we are in the process of bringing a brand new Future Center Director to EC Glass. So stay tuned, because that person is going to be a phenomenal resource to all of you. I just wanted to say hello. Thank you for being here. Thanks for working with Beacon of Hope. If you don't know, we are kind of the only thing like us in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So as students, pat yourselves on the back, because you have a great resource. As parents, and I am one of 3 EC Glass students, it's great help with FAFSA. It's great help with college trips and tips and tricks and all of the other things that you need to think about your child's future. So use your Future Center Director. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Laura. All right, well, we are going to jump right in here, and we'll talk about the reason you came here for, right? College tips and tricks. As soon as my Wi-Fi allows. There we go. All right. Before we dive in, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pause, and I want you to recognize that it is July 26th. And here you are, students and families, parents. Here you are figuring or learning, taking active measures to get ahead of your senior year. All right, so we understand that the senior year can be the potential for a lot of stress and also a lot of joy. And so we're here tonight to hopefully help you realize the joy in the process and take away some of that stress. But you have 10 months until graduation, which is probably an equally terrifying and joyous realization. So just keep that in mind. Let's take 5 seconds and just breathe that truth in, that you have a lot of time to do a lot of things that need to be done, but you have a lot of time. All right. So why are we here? Well, like I said, it is our goal as Beacon of Hope, the team with us tonight, to provide information to you that will help you decide your own path to the college admissions process, through the application process, and in the financial aid processes, so scholarships and grants and things like that. All right, that's why we're here. That's what we're going to try to do. And so we want to hear from you now. And I'm hoping you'll utilize the chat feature. And so this is a question for all parties tuning in, moms, dads, students, guardians. From your individual perspective, what is important to you as you consider colleges, or as your child considers colleges? So if you would take a second, dwell on that, and then put a factor or a characteristic in the chat for us, and we'll see what you say. All right, we've got one. Anybody else out there? A couple coming in. All right, so we've got location popping up a couple times, scholarships and program opportunities. Oh, financial aid. I hear you, Jessica. Programs available for undecided students. That's, I imagine more than one person in this room feels that same way, but way to name that, Sarah. Any others? We'll give you another 10 seconds. All right. And it might be a thing. I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I don't know what I don't know. And so maybe this is an opportunity for you to just start building or moving towards thinking about this question. All right. And we're going to give you some tools to use along the way. So let's jump right in. You want to go to college because that's why you're in College Tips and Tricks at 6 o'clock on a Monday night, right? And as you think about whether you want to go to college, there are a number of factors like the ones that were just shared that you should consider and look at when figuring out the best place for you to be successful. For most of us on this Zoom call, where we went to college or where we will go to college is going to be one of the largest financial decisions we make in our lives. And just like, you know, you consider lots of things when you might buy a house or relocate across the country or even buy a car, you probably should consider different factors when thinking about colleges. And so you might be wondering, that's great. You know, I can go look at a car or I can, you know, shop for a house on Zillow or use an agent or whatever. How do I learn about colleges in that same manner? And so there are a number of tools that you can use that are online, and then you just have your own ability to visit as well. So that's one thing I want to encourage you before we go any further is to do on-site visits at colleges, whether it's a formal tour or just a walk around the campus, taking a look at it. And we have a number of great opportunities for that here in Lynchburg. You know, University of Lynchburg might be number one on your list or might be a zero consideration school for you. But by going around the campus of University of Lynchburg, you might see things that you really like or learn things that make your I don't like list. And so that's what I would consider or encourage you to do when we're thinking about these factors is spend some time on our local college options. You know, Liberty, University of Lynchburg, Sweetbriar, Randolph. If you go up to Farmville, you've got Longwood, one of our newest Stay Close Go partner. You go towards Blacksburg, you've got Virginia Tech, you've got Radford, you've got Roanoke College. There are a number of options, you know, within about an hour's drive. And so getting on those campuses is probably one of the best things that you can do to figure out what factors are important to you. They're happy to give you a formal tour. You sign up for those, you know, go contact their admissions office, but you can also just show up and walk around. They're open to the public in that manner, okay? And if, say, college is out of reach for you to just get in the car and go to, contact that admissions office. Their counselors might be able to provide a virtual tour. That was a carryover for a lot of schools from COVID, all right? There are online resources, and forgive me, I forgot to say this earlier, but everything that we share with you tonight, from the name of a resource to the details of this presentation, we're gonna share that out with you in an email later on. So if you registered, or maybe, you know, I had a parent say, my student can't come tonight. That student's going to get the resources just like you sitting here will get the resources. So don't feel like you have to take furious notes if you're a note taker or remember everything. We're recording this so we can put it on our YouTube channel, and we will share out any resource mentioned is going to get shared out in an email later on. All right. Back to what I was saying though, for College Fit, one of the best resources we think exists out there is called Big Future. It gives you all sorts of filters and sorting abilities, and lets you narrow down a list, or will actually generate a list and lets you narrow it down and gives kind of a profile of the school. There's another resource I'm going to share out that is a self-survey where you put in indicators or factors that you value, and then it pops out a list. It generates a list of colleges that might fit that. And then I'm going to share a resource from a guy named Ethan Sawyer, who goes by the College Essay Guy. That's his online name. And he has a number of really valuable resources. He's one of the really meaningful resource guys that I go to, or options I go to. And I'm going to share a spreadsheet and a worksheet that he uses to help organize that. So say you get a list of 7 colleges. There's a spreadsheet I'm going to share with you that will help you kind of organize that, compare those things on paper, and hopefully narrow down that list a little bit. All right. And then before we go any further too, I would be remiss to say, thinking about CVCC as an option to start is a great possibility, because like Mrs. McQueen is going to share with you in a minute, for our qualifying students, which is probably most of you, or maybe even all of you on this call, Beacon of Hope offers scholarship opportunities for you to go to CVCC for free. All right. And so considering a start at CVCC and then a transfer to a four-year school is also a great option, particularly if maybe you are undecided on what you want to do. When we're talking about applying to colleges, we need to know or be familiar with a couple of different terms out there. So the first one is early admissions, and this is also sometimes called accelerated decision. But when we're talking about early admissions, there's really two different types that you need to be aware of, early action and early decision. And so if a student were to apply, if I were to apply with early admissions to, say, Virginia Tech, then I would submit my application this fall. Usually deadlines are November 1st, but I would encourage you to double check that with the specific college you're considering applying to, because each school is slightly different. And then I would receive a decision back. You know, I've sent in my application and the admissions office is going to decide on me and let me know that usually by the holidays. And so that's a really nice way for me to put in all my applications and then find out and be at ease and really enjoy the rest of my senior year, having decided on where I'm going to go to college. I do need to clarify one thing. The difference between early action and early decision is an important one. All right. Early decision is a binding agreement between the student and the school. And so think binding with a D, binding, early decision, decision with a D. And that's really important to note, because say I apply early decision to, again, Virginia Tech. I'm entering an agreement with Virginia Tech saying, Virginia Tech, you're my one and only. I'm going to apply early to you. And if you accept me, then I agree to go with you. I'm not going to shop around to other colleges. I'm not going to wait and see what kind of financial aid you offer me. If I get in on this early decision application, I'm all yours and you're all mine. All right. Early action is not that way. Early action allows you to apply early still, but applying to different colleges or universities and then choosing between them. All right, so that's an important distinction to make. Moving on down, we've got regular decision, where you submit your application throughout the winter time. Deadlines vary school by school. So again, it's really important to be looking at the admissions pages for your schools of interest. And then students will find out whether they've been accepted later on in the spring, kind of leading up to a May 1st decision day. And then the final type of admissions is called rolling admissions. And with rolling admissions, if a school operates with rolling admissions, they're actually allowing students to apply without deadlines until their incoming freshman allotment has been filled. And so, you know, I could apply to Liberty, for example, who uses rolling admissions. Maybe they still have openings in May or even June, and I could apply and then receive a decision back in about a month. But I don't encourage you to do that. Okay, the May to June part. Don't, you know, I used an example that would be a clear thing that I would steer you away from. We want you to apply early in your senior year. We want you to take advantage of something called JAM that we'll tell you about in a minute. And so that you can send in your applications, you know, and then take a deep breath and enjoy the rest of your senior year. All right. Types of applications that exist. You're going to hear one mentioned frequently, and that is the common application. All right. Because it's accepted at over 900 schools. When I checked this morning, it was 919 schools. Almost every public school or public college in Virginia accepts a common application. All right. And then the competitor for them is called the coalition application. And so these common applications you see there, and then also the common Black college application, are a really great opportunity for a student to create a single application profile, enter in all that demographic and family information, their course transcripts and all that fun stuff a single time, and then use that profile to apply to different colleges around the country. Now, it might be that, you know, when I apply to George Mason, they're going to kick back some supplemental information that they request on top of that profile I've already created. But the big portion of your college application has already been completed through the Common App or the Coalition App. the difference between the Common Black College application is that they service historically Black colleges and universities. Okay, and so by completing that and paying a single fee for the the Common Black College application, then I can apply to HBCUs. And then if you choose not to do that, that's fine. You can always just apply individually to a specific college. So going to William and Mary's website and their admissions page and completing their specific institution's application. And for each of these, you might be asked to pay an application fee. But I'm going to just put that in your head. All right, application fees. We're going to come back to that because I have some good news for you about application fees. But I'm going to pause, and Mrs. McQueen is going to talk to you about how to pay for all this.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leidra McQueen, and as Dennis stated earlier, I am currently the Associate Director with Beacon of Hope, but I've been with the organization for 7 years, and I've held a few different spots. So I've been on the high school side in the Future Centers, as well as on the college success side once students transition from Heritage and Glass and receive our scholarship, and now as the Associate Director. And one of my most favorite topics to talk about is financial aid. This is typically the scariest part of the process, wondering how you're going to pay for it, how it all works together. And let me tell you, we have some amazing college partners, not just locally, but across the state, who do the best they can to make sure you as students and families are knowledgeable about this process and have every single bit of information that you need to make the best financial choice. And we are not just college, but college and how do you pay for it? And so the big first step is the FAFSA, also known as the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And I always like to point out free because there are scams out there that will try to charge you $80 or $90 to complete this application, but it is 100% free. And we host a number of opportunities starting in October to help you navigate this free application for federal student aid. This is how you make sure that you're eligible for grants, loans, scholarships, and every type of financial aid available. Some folks say, I make too much money or I make too little money. Should I do it? And the answer is yes, and yes, yes, and yes, and always. Whether you make a whole lot of money or finances is an issue, it's important that you complete this application. Number one, to make sure that you're eligible for federal aid. So that, like I said, that includes the grants, the loans, but there's also institutional aid that colleges and universities will not distribute unless you complete this FAFSA. And the last thing I'll say about the FAFSA, it's important that you do it as soon as you can. The application opens up on October 1st, and we encourage you to get it done as soon as possible. I always liken it to a buffet. The folks who are in the front of the line are going to get the hottest, the freshest, the best untouched food. The sooner you complete this application, you will make yourself eligible for every aid that you can possibly get. And the longer you wait, the smaller that pool gets. The food, it's just not like it is when you're at the front of the line. So it's just important for you all to remember to do this application as early as you can. We will host events to help you through this application process. And it's not just our Beacon team, but also financial aid experts across the Commonwealth of Virginia who are here to support you and your families as you complete this application. So do it, and do it early. Both of our high schools are privileged to have scholarship coordinators. So there are two people who will consistently give out information concerning the scholarships that are available, especially local scholarships. And my encouragement for you all is to apply to as many as you can. One workshop I went to several years ago said, tell your students to apply for 70 scholarships. Here's the thing about that. The more scholarships you apply for, the more scholarships you're eligible for. You're not going to get every one, but if you're completing several scholarships, you're increasing your likelihood of being granted one of those scholarships. I strongly encourage you to look at the local scholarships, especially the ones that are coming from the scholarship coordinators, because they tend to have low completion rates. And so if you're competing against a smaller pool, if you think you're competing against 20 local students versus 20,000 national students, it increases your likelihood of being awarded those scholarships. So just pay attention to the information that's coming from those coordinators. Both of our Future Center directors will have additional scholarships as well. We have folks who come to us directly, or just scholarships we run into from some of our other partners, and we'll share that information out to you. So just like the FAFSA, do it early, do it often, and just make sure you're keeping your feelers out there. Stay in touch with your scholarship coordinator as well as your Future Center directors. Another really unique opportunity is the Virginia Tuition Assistance Grant, also known as VTAG. And this scholarship is awarded just for private colleges and universities in the state of Virginia. And this year, the 21 school year, that award is $4,000. For your graduating class of 2022, it'll increase a little bit, but that is guaranteed money as long as you complete a really short application. It's just a one-page demographic information application. And so that will be available to you when you hear it from the counselors at the colleges, when you hear it from your Future Center directors and your school counselors. Make sure you take care of this because that's just $4,000 of guaranteed money. And like I said, that's all private schools in the state of Virginia. And so that'll include the private partners that are part of our Stay Close, Go Far scholarship. So you think about $8,000 plus another $4,000, you're in there. So that leads me to the last type of scholarship for this evening, which is our Beacon of Hope scholarships. We have two really unique scholarships. The very first one is our Commonwealth Scholarship, and this is a competitive scholarship in the amount of $5,000. And for the past few years, we've been able to award 10 total students, 5 from Heritage and 5 from EC Glass. This year, due to the generosity of the Hurt family, we will be able to increase the number of Commonwealth scholarships for this year, but we have not yet landed on what that number will be, but it will definitely be more than 10 students, and we're truly excited about that. To qualify for both of our scholarships, you have to have attended LCS 9th through 12th grade. And that's really the biggest thing, making sure, and it doesn't matter if you went between Heritage and Glass or Fort Hill and our other schools, just as long as you've been in LCS 9th through 12th grade. And again, the Commonwealth is competitive, so you are competing against anybody who applies in this particular school year. And this scholarship is awarded to any accredited college in the state of Virginia outside of our local area. So this includes, Eastern Mennonite and Virginia Tech and UVA and Norfolk State and VSU. So anywhere you can think of, our scholarship would apply for that Commonwealth. And then our really huge scholarship is our Stay Close, Go Far scholarship. And this, every single Lynchburg City School student qualifies for this scholarship. Again, as long as you've attended LCS 9th through 12th grade, and we'll be attending one of our partner colleges. It's cut off on the screen, but Centra and CVCC are in our partnership, as well as Longwood, Liberty, Randolph, Sweetbriar, and the University of Lynchburg. So CVCC will be 100% free on the Stay Close, Go Far scholarship. And then each of our 4-year partners, it will be at least $8,000 that you'll receive. Longwood's match, as long as you are attending and staying in a residence hall on their campus, you'll receive a total of $12,000. And they're our newest partner, so we're extremely excited about that. And then Liberty, they add an additional match for your meal plans. And so their total scholarship award to go there is $16,000. And the rest of our 4-year partners, you're guaranteed at least that $8,000. And they're also creating some really awesome programming. So with the University of Lynchburg, we're partnering with their Career Center and their Student Success Center to create some really unique programming that will follow all Stay Close, Go Far scholars from your freshman year until the point that you graduate, and hopefully land a job as soon as you graduate because of that programming that's being built. We're also working on a similar partnership with Randolph And we're really excited just about the opportunities that will be presented to you all as the class of 2022. And so there'll be more to come. You'll hear more information as that's continuously developed throughout this year, but just know that there's so many opportunities for grants, for financial aid, for you all to minimize that cost of tuition. I'll pass it back to you, Dennis.
All right, thank you. And I apologize, everybody. I didn't realize that my bar there at the bottom was blocking the bottom line of the screen. Yeah, now it went away conveniently. Sorry about that. All right, so I alluded to this earlier, but and Mrs. McQueen just mentioned some as well, but we want to be sure that you leave this time feeling at ease. And so I wanted to plug some of the different help and support that we offer seniors, and really I should say seniors and their families, because families, we know that you are a huge part of this process for our students as well. And so the first thing is workshops like this. Tonight is the first of 3 workshops that we're offering this week. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we'll be meeting at our office on Memorial Avenue and working with about 25 students as they start creating that Common App profile that I just mentioned a minute ago and working on that personal statement. And I see some names in here participating tonight that'll be there tomorrow. And so we're looking forward to that. On top of that, we offer free SAT prep that is available to our students both at Glass and Heritage during the school day. And we actually partner with a private test prep company called Oaks Test Prep to come in and provide that instruction in the weeks leading up to SAT dates in October and in March. And so registration for that is open. I've been pushing it out there to our students in email, but it's summertime and emails don't get checked. So if you are interested in SAT prep and want to just get on the ball and register for that, shoot me an email or a text. I'll share my number at the end of tonight, and I can be sure to send that registration link for you. And then we offer lots of things throughout the year. So whether that is career readiness programming or networking or we do frequently do workshops. Specifically, you see there below that, we will in October hold some FAFSA events. And so the first 3 Tuesdays of October, October 5th, 12th, and 19th, in the evenings, we will hold in-person and Zoom events where families and students can come to one of the high schools or log in on a Zoom and get help completing that FAFSA. And not just with our staff, but we'll actually bring in staff from our local colleges to help with that, because we recognize that special circumstances sometimes pop up and tricky situations. And so we bring in the experts and bring them to you. And we provide that because we want to eliminate all the barriers that might stand in the way of you getting scholarships and grants. Beginning in October, we will start something called JAM, Just Apply Month. And so if you are in this call right now and maybe you had an older sibling go through Heritage or Glass, you might have heard of Virginia College Application Week. And that still lives on, but we have expanded VCAW, Virginia College Application Week, to be Just Apply Month. And recognizing that students might want to apply early, whether it's early action or early decision, like I mentioned earlier, and that applications sometimes take more than a week. We have expanded that. So beginning on October 20th, all the way through November 19th, students will be able to apply to colleges using fee waivers that Beacon of Hope can provide you. And so, if George Mason charges $60 for you to apply, come see me or our Future Center Director at Glass, and we can connect you with a fee waiver so that you don't have to pay that fee. We'll be going into English classes, helping students to prepare their personal statements and essays. But really, this is just a month that focuses on applying for colleges somewhere, sometime in that month, so that, like I've been saying all night, seniors can sit back and take a deep breath and enjoy the rest of that senior year. And then finally, we are available for individual advising. I'm at Heritage full time. We have a Glass Future Center Director there full time, and so we are there. Our Future Center advisors like Ellie are there. And so you're welcome to set up an appointment or get a pass from a teacher when school starts back up, and come by with questions that you might have about whatever it is. And if college isn't your thing, or if you have friends or siblings who aren't considering college, that's great. We connect students with workforce opportunities, with trade schools, We can connect with recruiters if the military is a consideration and prepare for the ASVAB test that the military requires for enlistment. Our goal is that ultimately with Beacon of Hope that every student finds a path to a fulfilling option after high school. And then we want to make sure that you obviously have a way to pay for that and to secure that path. Okay. And so, like I said, this week, I really want to be sure to plug the options that we have this week and next. We have our workshops happening at our office tomorrow and Wednesday from 1 to 3. And then next week, say you didn't register for those Common App workshops. And unfortunately, because of space limitations, those are full, but you still want to get a head start. Well, then come see us next week, because on Monday, we'll be at EC Glass in the Future Center, myself and some of our staff, from 3 to 5 p.m. And you can come in there, whether you just want to check out the Future Center, you've never been in there, or you want to sit down and get started on your Common App. We'll be there. It's kind of a drop-in, whatever you want it to be. You want to pick my brain and play, Stump the Future Center director, that's great. We can do that. And if you want to dig in and start writing an essay, we'll have volunteers on hand to help you start with that. And then we're doing the exact same thing on Wednesday of next week at Heritage from 3 to 5 p.m. All right. And so before we go any further and kind of wrap this up and transition to Q&A, I just want to encourage you, and when I say you, I mean both students and the parents, moms and dads that might be on this call, to, before you get into the thick of this, sit down as a group and devise a plan. And that plan is going to look different for every single family out there, right? Establish who's doing what, because there are a lot of things that the student is responsible for doing in this process, but there are also some things that parents, you are just needed to help out with, providing financial information and parental information. So establish those roles and then establish some expectations around those roles. I think you're going to find if you do those things and then create a system where you're checking back in and revisiting that process. Maybe, Sunday nights at 6 o'clock, we're going to spend 15 minutes talking about this, or maybe your life is too crazy to say Sunday nights, a set day and time, but that you're going to commit to revisiting this process. I think you're going to find that there can be a lot of joy and self-discovery and excitement around this. In the same, in the reverse of that, if it's all just question marks and uncertainty, there can be stress and fatigue and avoidance and all those things that we don't want to mention when we're talking about senior year. So that's my encouragement to you all. It's something that I wish I had done when I was a senior with my parents, as a first-gen student who didn't have that college experience in the family. And so take that for what it is. That's my 2 cents. All right. All right. Last thing, I encourage you to follow us on social media. So if you see there, both Future Centers have their own Instagram handles. All right. And we use this for announcing upcoming events, for highlighting student achievement, and for opportunities. When we get scholarships, what better way to put them out there than, hey, so-and-so contacted us as a scholarship application, here's the link, kind of thing. Our organization as a whole also is on social media. You can find them on Twitter and Facebook. But Glass and Heritage students and Glass and Heritage parents, I would really encourage you to follow the Future Centers if you had to pick one, and that's for parents and students. All right. So we are going to wrap it up here. And I've got Dr. Chris Glover's face up there. He's not with us tonight, but if you are a EC Glass student or parent, he's the face you're going to see here in the interim at the Glass Future Center. So I wanted him to be a recognizable face for you. All right. And you see our email addresses there, and I'm going to put my phone number in the chat. Like I said, you are welcome to reach out to us anytime, anyway, and I'll be sharing this information out through email later on as well. But we are going to do Q&A. So I'm going to stop recording. If you'd like to come off or turn your video on or come off mute and ask, you can do that. Or if you're more comfortable just putting it in the chat, we can do that. Okay.